The title of today's event is our top tips for surviving the COVID job market. So I want to welcome everybody, and my name is Jessie Allen. I'm the career counselor for the College of Education and Professional Studies at the Ellensburg campus, and I'm being joined by 3 of my colleagues from our Career Services department, and I'm going to let them go ahead and introduce themselves.
My name is Steve Lang. I'm the Assistant Director for Career Services at the Des Moines Center. I also serve students participating at the Pierce County and also all of South Puget Sound and west of the Cascade Summit to the coast, Southwest Washington.
Hi, I'm Meredith Rennick, and I work at the Linwood campus, Assistant Director of Career Services on the Linwood campus. I also serve online students in the North Puget Sound area.
And I'm Jay Pfeiffer, Career Counselor in Ellensburg and embedded in the College of Business.
All right, thanks you guys. So the reason we wanted to do this workshop is we just thought it was really important right now in the strange times that we're living in, that we touch base with all of our students and get the word out that we are still here for you guys. You have a lot of resources in our office, and we have a lot of different people that work for us that have lots of experience in the job market, and they also have quite a bit of experience working as career counselors and things like that. So if you were to have asked me 3 months ago what kind of job market I thought the class of 2020 was graduating into, I would have told you better than we've seen in a long time, excellent, right? But things have obviously changed very quickly. A lot of industries are being affected, and we wanted to give you kind of an overview of that today. So a brief overview of how the different industries are being affected and where you can look for job openings and who still is hiring. And then we also want to give you some tips for kind of surviving this time where we're practicing social distancing, and some concrete actions that you could take right now so that you can come out of this on the other side better and more career ready. So we are going to do a Q&A at the end. So if you have questions, you can either type them into the chat box, and then at the end we'll pull questions from the chat box, or you can just wait till the end, and then we will have that time set aside for you to be able to ask us some things. If, you'll have to unmute yourself. So right now all your microphones are muted. So that's how we're going to handle questions. And then this is being recorded, so we will post it to our YouTube account, which is CWU Career. And we will link all of the websites that we're going to underneath that video, so you'll be able to easily access those. You can take notes if you want, or you can just wait till we get it posted on YouTube and you'll be able to watch it again and view those links. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through a brief overview of kind of what the market looks like right now. I'm going to share my screen here with you and show you a website here that is giving us, so this is LinkedIn, and LinkedIn, because there's so many members on LinkedIn, they're able to pull a lot of data from there, and they're able to do polls and things like that. So this is a confidence index, and so this is where they have gotten 5,102 responses from people in different industries, rating how confident they feel about their industry right now. So as you can see, recreation and travel, design, media and communication, entertainment, those are some of the industries that are being hit the hardest right now, so being negatively impacted. Some of that is pretty obvious. You've been hearing things about that. A lot of restaurants, well, all restaurants are closed right now except for takeout. Concerts aren't happening. So you can imagine, people aren't flying. Tourism is taking a big hit. Things are starting to open back up in a lot of the states slowly. So we don't know how long these industries are going to be impacted. Nobody can predict how this is going to go, obviously, but this is kind of, the bad news for right now. As you can see down below, things like public administration, the legal sector, manufacturing, finance, those are some of the healthier industries right now. So again, you'll find this link on our YouTube if you want that for later. You're going to see on the next website that I'm bringing you to, so this is a live document here where people are going in and entering what their companies are doing in terms of hiring freezes, layoffs, furloughs, whether they're hiring or not. Some of that terminology you may not be familiar with. So a layoff is when basically a company starts cutting people. So they need to cut down their payroll. Those people are eligible for unemployment, but they don't have their jobs. They're not going to get their jobs back. And they're not going to still get the health care and the different benefits from that job. If a company is doing furloughs, like Disney announced that they were furloughing 100,000 employees, that actually means that they do still have their jobs for now. They aren't working, but they still may go back to having that position that they had before when they resume business, which again, we don't know when that's going to be, right? But they do get to keep their health care. So that's the good news. And they do somewhat at least know that they probably will have a job in the future. Hiring freezes means that a company is not allowed to hire anybody right now. So you want to be, up on that information. This is a table that's looks like 7,263 different companies putting things in here right now. So they're letting you know, hey, this is what we're doing right now. We're actually laying people off, or we are actually hiring, or we've got a hiring freeze. So that's kind of nice. And then it says where to apply. So there's links along the right-hand side if you want to check that out. So there are some, that's kind of the bad news, but there's a lot of good news out there too. So we want you guys to kind of look at it like the glass is half full. There is a lot of companies that are still hiring. There are industries that are still growing, actually, believe it or not. So we're going to take a look here. This website, or it's LinkedIn, but it's an article where somebody has put together all of the businesses on LinkedIn that are posting jobs and how many, the ones that are posting like large amounts of employees that they need. So you'll see here, this is kind of a no-brainer. Amazon, they're looking to hire 175,000 new workers. If you guys have Amazon Prime like I do, they're running way behind on their delivery. So though they do need help. A lot of the big tech companies are growing right now: e-commerce, online learning, delivery services, collaboration tools like Microsoft Teams has grown tremendously. Zoom, we're using Zoom right now. Tons of people are using Zoom. So there are a lot of industries and companies that are experiencing growth right now. So that is the good news. Healthcare as well. But it's kind of, there are exceptions to all of these things, right? Like, so I have heard of people in healthcare actually being laid off right now because they're not laid off, kind of furloughed, because they put a hold on, not unnecessary, but they put a hold on a lot of the surgeries for right now, right? But then other places they're hiring like crazy for healthcare. So these are some websites you can look at to gain more insight into what the market actually looks like right now. All right, so the next page I want to take you to is from the Muse. So the Muse is a really good website that we use a lot in our department because they give career advice. They write these really great short articles, impactful articles, giving career advice, using a lot of the same stuff that we do. They help with interviewing and resumes, cover letters, all that sort of thing. But they also have a job search function. And so they've put together a nice big list that was just updated on April 23rd with all of the companies that are hiring right now. And there's like 70 something companies here. So you can scroll through. If you click on explore open jobs here, you can see the actual positions that they have open. So that's great. And this can also help you learn about companies that maybe you didn't even know about. So it's kind of about like opening your mind a little bit, being creative in how you approach this, and just kind of rethinking maybe where you thought you might be, right? So if you have a major that's in one of the industries that's being hit hard right now, maybe upon graduation, you're not going to be working in that field. Maybe that's, you're kind of accepting that right now. That's not permanent. That's just a temporary thing, but you want to keep in mind that, working in a different field can bring you lots of good skills. We talk about transferable skills a lot in our department, which are the skills that you bring with you to every job that you go to. And so even if you have to work for a little while in a field that, you didn't originally think you'd be working in, you may end up getting some really great transferable skills out of that job that you would bring to the next job that would help you be marketable. So another thing that I wanted to talk about real quickly is internships. So if you are somebody who has applied for some internships and you don't know if they're going forward with those internships, it's important to be in communication with the employers. And if it's a smaller company, you definitely want to reach out and, you know, talk to them, communicate with them, let them know you're still interested, see if there's any option of doing it online, you know, remotely. If it's a bigger company, there is a website that's called ismyinternshipcanceled.com. Ismyinternshipcancel.com. You can go on there and see. It's mostly big companies here that you're going to see. Looks like it's loading still, but there's all these different companies and they talk about what they're doing with their internships they typically run. So like a lot of these are saying, you know, we're doing them remotely now. Some of them are saying, yeah, we're not going to be having any internships. Some are showing, you know, yes, we still are going forward with our internships, or we've got a hiring freeze on right now. So you can see that there. Also, if you're doing an internship for credit at Central, then that's handled differently depending on the department. So if say you have a required internship and your major is ITAM, then you want to get a hold of the ITAM department to see if they are being more flexible possibly with that, since it is a requirement. Because of the nature of things right now, it is a little bit trickier maybe to set up an internship. And so, you know, each department is handling that differently. Some are offering some alternatives to that. So check with your department on that. All right, so those are all the websites that I wanted to share with you. But basically, you know, what we're hoping is that you all can, you know, come out of this better. We don't know if we're heading into a recession right now. That has yet to be seen. But if we are, you know, resiliency is going to be the key here. And, you know, we always like to say hope for the best, but plan for the worst. So this is a great time to take advantage of some of the tips that we're going to give you to kind of strengthen your position in the job market, because the job market is tighter right now. You know, sometimes it's a matter of cracking into a company too. It's a little bit more difficult if you're doing everything online, but we're going to give you some great tips on how to possibly crack into some different industries or some different companies. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hand things over to my colleague, Steve. He's going to give you some tips.
Thank you, Jesse. So yeah, what I'm going to try and do is you know, as Jesse has alluded to, it's a very uncertain job market right now. And so what my goal is to provide you with kind of some recommendations that career counselors, recruiters, hiring managers are providing individuals to help them stay engaged with the job search and keep a positive outlook. So I'm going to share my screen as well. I'm not going to be taking us to particular websites, but I just have a very kind of a PowerPoint presentation that I'm going to share. It just so that you can kind of keep in touch with what I'm talking about. So my approach is what can you do now? And with all the uncertainty and all the kind of, you know, a little bit frightening news out there, it's really important that we focus on things that we can control, because there's a lot of things going on that we cannot control. And so what I'm going to do is just share some things that you can control, and then talk about other things you can do. So things you can control, they're the actions you take. We're recommending, we recommend this all the time, but this is something that recruiters and hiring managers are really promoting now is develop and manage your job search action plan. And if you don't have an action plan, you know, create one. And that's one of the things that all of us presenting today and career counselors can help you with. If you have never done that before, we have resources on the Career Services website and visiting with us that can help you with that. The other thing is prepare. You know, we're always, again, coaching students and alumni and individuals we work with to continually reassess and update their career tools, the resume, cover letter, LinkedIn profile, and then do research and virtual outreach with your connections. Reconnect with people that you maybe haven't talked to in quite a while, because a lot of those people are isolated or working remotely as we are, and they really appreciate you reaching out and communicating with them. Also, one of the big things is to remain your commitment level. You need to avoid sitting around and waiting for things to change. Stay on top of your job search tasks and outreach, and don't assume that employers are not going to be hiring. One of the things that Jessie alluded to is that there are some websites she showed you that, although companies may be hesitating right now because of the uncertainty, and they're kind of maneuvering these uncharted waters right now, you want to make sure that when they do begin hiring, you have your materials prepared and you are ready and you are top of their list as far as candidates they may want to consider. Additionally, this can be a very emotionally challenging time. And so if you find yourself feeling anxious or overwhelmed, reach out for help. I mean, speak to family and friends, take a break, go for a walk, read a book, watch a movie. So you want to make sure that you are in control of your emotions as much as possible. So things that you can do in this idle time you may have, is learn new skills, take some courses, start projects that you've been postponing that you haven't done for a long time. Focus on how you can improve yourself to make an employer want to hire you. I put one site here is lynda.com, which was purchased by a number of years ago by LinkedIn, and then of course LinkedIn was purchased by Microsoft. But at this website that I'm providing you here, they give you a free month, and there are a wealth of training resources there, modules that you can learn all kinds of things. And so I would encourage you to take a look at this, but also check with your county library. I know here in King County, the King County Library has a subscription to this, and if you are a member of the library, you can go to this and tap into this resource, and there's hundreds and hundreds of really great training tools in there, and they're very well done. So I would encourage you to take a look at that. The other thing you can do is reconnect with past colleagues and friends, those you haven't touched base with, because like you, they are probably staying in place and feeling somewhat isolated. And this will give you an opportunity to network. And then not only your family and friends, but many employers, this is a new experience for them as well. They're working remotely. They're no longer commuting to work and spending time in an office space with their colleagues. And so they too are craving more attention, and makes it a great time to think about doing informational interviews. And for those of you who don't know what an informational interview is, an informational interview, this is something that I encourage students to pursue all the time, but it does take a little bit of time. But an informational interview it's not a job interview, and it's not a job inquiry interview. The purpose of doing an informational interview is to gather information about a particular occupation by interviewing, as it says on the screen, someone who is currently employed in that role. And you never want to approach doing an informational interview as seeking a job. What you're doing is you're researching, seeking information about how an individual got into a particular job, how they got there, what they do in their jobs, and what kind of recommendations they can provide to help you achieve that as well. The other thing is to be extremely patient. We don't know the circumstances that these employers we're connecting with are in. They may have some other difficulties that we're not aware of. So be patient in trying to connect with them and having them reconnect back with you. Be respectful, show appreciation, and anytime one gives you their time, say thank you. Be sure you say thank you. And then, as you conclude your interview, always ask for referrals. Who else can you how else can they recommend that you interview, so that you can continue to build your network and learn more and do more research into a particular occupation you're interested in. So what do you get out of doing an informational interview? I've alluded to some of that, but you get to practice your interviewing skills. But there's really no pressure because you're the interviewer. I would certainly go into one being prepared to answer some questions, because employers oftentimes are very interested in what students are, what students' interests are and what they're looking to do with their futures. But it also gives you an opportunity to practice your phone if you're going to be using a phone, or if you're going to be using a video conference tool like Zoom or Skype. It gives you an opportunity to practice using those tools so you become very competent and comfortable using those. So when it comes to a real interview, you are better prepared and can really reflect yourself very well. The other thing is it enables you to learn about an occupation from the inside out, from someone performing the job rather than looking from what I call the outside in, using occupational data and job descriptions. It's much more, there's much more revealing to talk to somebody in a particular occupation, because you learn what motivated that individual to pursue that occupation. You can learn about the path they took to acquiring that job, and you can learn about what their daily work life is like. And then this, and also, as I said a minute ago, it enables you to build your network contacts in your field of interest. So what kind of questions do you ask? So here are some questions, some very general questions to ask. And on the following slide, I'm going to give you some links to articles about informational interviewing. The first 4 will be about informational interviewing, and then there will be a couple articles as well that cover questions you should ask. So it's really important. In my experiences doing informational interviews, and I've done hundreds of them and worked with students, is what motivated, you want to ask that individual, what motivated them, or what did they do to attain their current position? And then what do you like most about your current job? What do you like least? And then, although you may be aware of what the educational requirements are and position requirements are by reading position descriptions, you want to know what the most important skills that person uses on a daily basis. Oftentimes they're what people call soft skills, or I call essential skills. They aren't necessarily the technical skills, because oftentimes an employer will train you in those. And then what kind of recommendations, you'll ask the individual, what kind of recommendations do you have for someone who wants to pursue in a career and you can insert whatever field you want. And then, as I mentioned, always when you thank them, but also can they suggest or recommend others you can talk to continue to expand that network and practice your interviewing skills, practice using the technology, and stay in the front of mind of particular employers, because when they do begin to hire again, if you have been in communication with them, you're going to be front of mind, and they're going to know, hey, this person was staying on top of things, they're really engaged, and we should really reach out to them, let them know we're hiring. So here's some articles. Monster.com, there's a really good article that UC Berkeley has put out about informational interviewing. Jesse mentioned the Muse is a great website. They have a couple articles on informational interviewing, and then Career Contessa, and then there's also what UC Berkeley has one specifically on interview questions, informational interview questions. So what I'm going to do now is pretty much concluded what I'm going to share with you, but now I'm going to turn it over to Jay, who will share his expertise about LinkedIn and talk a little bit about how to mentally cope with current situations. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and turn this over to Jay.
All right, thank you very much, Steve. And as Steve talked about, building your network as well as finding people to conduct these informational interviews with is very important when you have this downtime. And the way I'm going to show you how to work on building your network and identifying people for informational interviews is utilizing LinkedIn. So just some basic things here about LinkedIn very quickly. Let me just mute this camera. But you need to know some of the basic principles of networking on LinkedIn. And if you aren't familiar with it at all, it basically revolves around the principle of the 6 degrees of separation. Or if you're older like myself, you probably remember from 80s and 90s movies, the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Ultimately, what that means is that everyone on the planet can be connected to each other via 6 connections. So LinkedIn works the exact same way. If I know Steve, Steve is my first connection. Now, if Steve knows Jesse, but I do not know Jesse, Jesse would be my second connection through Steve, but LinkedIn will allow me to connect to them through each other. So the more connections you have, the smaller the world gets and the more interwoven your network is going to become. And you can pretty much look just about anywhere. I know things right now are a little crazy, But generally speaking, 8 times out of 10, people are finding jobs and internships, not just because of what they know, but who they know. So basic things on LinkedIn, you want to try to get people to become as close to you as possible. And the way you do that is by expanding your network. As you expand your network, depending on how close you are to those other people, whether you're a first connection or a sixth, there will be different options and opportunities for you to connect and interact with them. Obviously, the closer you get, the more options you have. But in order to do that, the first thing you need to do is, build your LinkedIn profile, which is a conversation for another day. And I'm not going to bore you with that, but I would recommend, if you have questions about LinkedIn, to schedule an appointment with a career counselor to go over your profile. But a couple things, in order for you to unlock all the features of LinkedIn and get full functionality, one of the first things you need to do is connect to at least 30 people. And that might sound slightly daunting, but with LinkedIn, I treat it like Pokemon. You're trying to get them all, man. You want to get as many connections as you can. That doesn't matter whether it's friends, family, peers, people you work with. You want to try to, again, build your network and close the world around you in terms of your professional network. You can see down here, I will show you just really quickly, you'll have a dashboard on your profile. You can see I've already reached All-Star. That just means that I have completed everything in my profile. I have more than enough connections, and all of the functionality of the site is open to me. But in order to get that, you're going to have a progress bar which will actually walk you through very intuitively what you need to do. So beyond the background logistics of actually working LinkedIn, what else do you have to lose? Right now, as Steve alluded to, a lot of people are just hanging out at home, whether you've been furloughed, you're working remotely. You're probably spending a lot of time sitting in front of the computer, and you've already watched Tiger King at this point, so you got to find something else to do. I would recommend working on your network. Basically, with that, you can look at 2 different ways or 2 different approaches to that via LinkedIn. The first is going to be joining groups. The nice thing, or the basic thing about groups, is you find them by going through your work tab, is that groups are essentially a Russian nesting doll of LinkedIn in total. So with LinkedIn, you can connect to people, you can find jobs, you can message, you can do all of those different functions. Within a group, it is the exact same thing, but there is a bouncer or a gatekeeper for all the groups to make sure that the people who are getting into the groups have all the right credentials. So no matter what you are looking for, there is probably going to be a group out there. This is probably the most, what's the way I want to say, non-intrusive way of starting to connect to other people, because you can join these groups, and I'll pick one that I've already belonged to. And within the groups, you can start up casual conversations. You can see jobs that are only being posted within the groups. But if you want to know what's going on in your industry, if you have those general questions, groups are going to be the best place to do it. Everyone there is going to have basically the same qualifications that you're striving for. And within the group, people are going to be a little bit more open to answering your questions. You can always just put out general questionnaires into but LinkedIn in general. But when you go into the groups, you're going to find more professionals who are going to be more closely aligned to what you're trying to accomplish. And there is literally a group for everything. So if you want to be a supply chain, hope I don't misspell anything while I'm being recorded. Oh. You can see there are literally hundreds of groups just for supply chain management. Once you get in there, you have the ability to take it to the next level, which is interacting with people individually. When you're interacting with people individually, you can do that via, introducing yourself through groups. You can do that just by searching. And this is a good way also to leverage your alumni connections. Say you want to get a job working at Microsoft. So this will tell you basically everything about Microsoft, including people you're already connected to who are working there. Let's say you just want to go in and the filters button is going to be your best friend. Say you want people who are working at Microsoft and went to Central Washington University. You can apply that and you get a list of all 448 people who are CWU alums who are currently working at Microsoft. So then if you want to even take it in closer, you could start looking for something even more specific. And this is helpful if you don't know exactly how to get from point A to point B in a career. So you want to become the procurement manager for Boeing. Well, they don't just hire procurement managers at Boeing unless you have some form of experience. This would be the ability to go in and look for procurement manager. I'm going to go back to our filters and current company Boeing. You know, there's 141 people. So then you can actually just go in. You can see I'm a second connection here with this individual, but you can actually follow how they got there. They started at Central Washington, clause engaged, go Wildcats. Then they went as a procurement agent and then worked their way up through supply chain until becoming a manager in about 3 years. So this will help connect the dots not only between who are the people that are working there, how can I connect with them individually, and then how did they get to where they're working now? It's a great way to meet new professionals. It's an awesome way to keep up what's going on in industry. You can find opportunities here within groups and by talking to people that you're not going to find anywhere else. Because oftentimes they might know somebody or know of a position that's about to becoming open that you can also go and apply for and get ahead of everyone else, which is nice. So with the individuals, you can search by their names, you can search by job titles, you can build and leverage your alumni connections because CWU people are going to want to help CWU people. And ultimately, you can identify the career paths required in order to get to certain positions and titles. And you have downtime. Well, I'm assuming you have downtime, but take the time now to work on building that network as well as connecting with other people, because once things do open up, that will give you at least a running start or a head start against other individuals who will also be looking. All of that being said, I just have one other note. If I can get back to my share screen. Just if you know anyone right now, or if you yourself are going through a loss of job or you've had your career paused, just be aware, you know, people who are going through these situations, whether it's you or yourself, generally end up following the same stages of loss and grief that other individuals do. So if you aren't familiar with the Kubler-Ross model, I'm not going to bore you with the background. But when people are going through a displacement or a loss of employment, they will often go through denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and then eventually acceptance. If you or someone else is going through this, understand there are resources available to you. Most employers, even if you are no longer there, have EAP programs. You have resources on campus at CWU through student health. And if you just need generally someone to reach out to and commiserate with, you know, find a career counselor. We can at least help talk you through that and make sure you're doing everything you need to do to get prepared for moving forward, which is a great transition to the next section where Merity is going to talk about action planning and moving ahead after the COVID. Take it away, Merity.
Thank you, Jay. So yeah, I'm going to talk about additional resources to assist you in the next step. One of the first ones I'm going to talk about is creating a schedule. Okay. I don't know about you, but somewhere around 6 or 7 weeks ago, this wonderful habits that I created and the schedule that I was on got completely blown apart. And it's been hard to kind of create a schedule and to be productive again. And part of a job search is to be consistent and do it, you know, on a weekly basis or even on a daily basis as you start to get closer and closer to a target date where you might want to start a job or graduation. Until we'll talk about the job search, I think for a lot of people, we get a huge surge in June of students that are graduating, and they're like, okay, great, I'm ready for a job. When do you want to start your job? And they say like, oh, well, July would be perfect. And I'm like, well, okay, 2 weeks. So in a strong economy, it takes approximately 1 to 3 months to find a job. And that's just sort of a national statistics, right, on how long it takes to find a job. During the 2008 recession, it was averaging, people are taking 3 to 6 months to find a job. We don't know how long in this recession it looks like, but the takeaway with this is to start early. So, if you're a junior, you could start working on it now. I mean, all these steps are really great, like creating your LinkedIn and getting more connections with your other students and professors and any recruiters that you meet, are all stuff that you can, start doing even your freshman year. So as you start to get closer to your job search, your graduation, your target date, you might want to start putting on your calendar. Again, maybe, Wednesdays and Fridays, or spending, half an hour on it every day. So creating habits are hard, especially when your life's just been thrown into chaos like this. And one resource, one of my favorite kind of books on the subject, The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. And if you didn't catch that, I did. We'll provide links to in the recording. We'll provide links to all the resources that we went over today. So I'll have that link in there. But so it takes at least 4 weeks to create a new habit. Studies have shown, sometimes longer. So starting on those habits now. Okay, so I'm going to go in a couple websites and so to talk about how we can help. Okay, all right. So, and all these things we talked about today, you're starting to feel stumped, having a hard time moving to the next step, just need somebody to, an expert to talk to bounce some of these ideas. We're here for you. And we have created, we have a nice booking system now online, so you can book your Zoom appointments with us. You go in, find the career counselor. So for example, again, I said, I serve Linwood students, also in kind of a broader North Puget Sound area. Steve, you can see Des Moines and Pierce County and South Sound. And then if you live on the east side of the Cascades, online, or you're an Ellensburg student, you want to go and pick out what your major is and find the specific career counselor that serves your major. And then easy enough, you can just go in to book an appointment with them. So hopefully we've made that easy to do. So, okay. I'm going to show you a couple other resources. One is we've got this great career guide. So again, in these links that we're going to have posted for you right here, this little picture here. Well, this takes you to a 34-page career guide. So, everything we went over today, there's some information, even some worksheets to do. There is also, information like you're saying, oh, okay, I want to work on a resume. I need a little bit more information. I might want like an action list or something like that. That's all in the career guide. Specifically, I want to show you, sorry, I'm going into a PDF, so it's going to take me on that. Okay, did this, for my Career Services folks, did I go to the PDF?
Yep, looks good, Meredith, you got it.
Perfect, thank you. So, okay, so 34 pages of great information in here. I'm going to jump to page 22 because, Steve talked about the important resource of informational interviews. which are, can't say enough how great they are. But a lot of people are like, whoa, what do I even say to them? What do I get started? What do I write in the email? Like, where do I go from here? And this gives you a little sheet to get started and just researching different employers you might want to do informational interview and talking about what you're going to talk about with them. Like, what's your interest in informational interviewing them? A lot of times informational interview, the tables turn and they get really interested in you and what your qualities are and how you might fit into the company. And these informational interviews very often lead to a job somewhere along the line or an internship. So, having an introduction, writing one out in advance. Again, these are things that like career services counselors were very experienced in helping you develop these. We can help you figure out, what your strong skills are and what are the things that you really want to say to an employer or sell to them. So some really great worksheets in here to get you started. So, okay. So another goal is possibly, we think about informational interviewing, maybe try 3 this month. That would be a great place to get started. And that doesn't mean you have to find 3 right away. That often means, as Steve talked about, you start with one person and you ask for referral for somebody else. For instance, if you're interested in human resources, you might not know a lot of people in human resources. Maybe you found one that said yes. But if you're informational interviewing somebody else in human resources, well, they know a lot more people in those areas, and a lot of times they're really happy to help and expend that and help and influence. All right, well, hopefully that's enough to get you started, and just know that we're here to help as counselors, and don't hesitate to reach out, email, book an appointment. You don't even really have to know exactly why you're booking an appointment. As long as it's career related, we can kind of get you started in figuring out the next step of what you want to work on. So I'm going to turn it back over to Jessie.
All right, thank you, Meredith. So now we're going to open it up for questions. So we would love to answer any questions you guys might have about the job market now, or the tips, or any of the services that we talked about. So feel free to either put it in the chat box, or you can unmute yourself. In the bottom left-hand corner is the mute button. You can unmute and you can set your video on if you'd like. But yeah, go ahead. Do you guys have any questions for us?
Well, I will take the first one from the chat. Can you provide resources to learn how to set up an effective LinkedIn profile? Are you able to review those through a booked appointment? Yes and yes. Yes to all of them. Basically, we have resources on the webpage, as well as an instructional video on developing a LinkedIn profile. If you would like to have a more personal one-on-one approach to building and in taking a look at and revising your profile, you can certainly schedule an appointment through bookings.com to talk to a career counselor.
All right, wonderful. Anybody else? Don't be shy. Just jump on in.
Until somebody else pipes up, I'm going to add something that, I talked about informational interviewing, and Meredith mentioned, you make one contact and you get a referral, and then through LinkedIn. But another really great resource for finding people to interview is professional associations, which we really didn't talk about. So I'll use the human resource profession as an example. You've got the Society of Human Resource Managers. They actually have a student membership, but it's a wealth of information, and you can connect with individuals through SHRM, as they call it, and find people, request, do you know somebody who might be willing to visit with me about this profession? And if you go direct to the organization, they oftentimes are very helpful and can refer you to people in your area.
All right, thank you, Steve. I see there's another question. Jay, do you want to read that to us?
Yes, the question is it too late to look for internships?
So this question is by, looks like Esme. Esme, what is your major and when are you wanting to do your internship? I think all my colleagues would agree that it's never too late. Business marketing in the summer. Okay, so Jay would be your guy.
It is not too late to start looking for internships, like I believe Meredith touched on. Generally, you're trying to be 1 to 3 months out from when you're going to be doing the internship. I will say that this year, though, it's best to remain flexible. That is the nicest terminology I can put it in. If you are able to find these opportunities, you might also have to be open to doing an internship remotely. I know the accounting students, a lot of them are doing internships remotely this summer. It might not be exactly what you had hoped and dreamed your internship would be. It might look entirely different than what a traditional internship is. But no, it's not too late to start looking. You're actually right on time. The sooner you start looking, the better.
I
Okay,
think,
I'm sorry, Mary, you go ahead.
I think in this job market also that, you know, the employers are just trying to figure things out also. And so in some ways that might even create more opportunity because, you know, the internships, you know, that they traditionally had done and maybe even extended job offers from you know, January, February, now they look completely different. And so this could be a great opportunity to come in and say, hey, you know, I'm interested in an intern and I'm pretty flexible. You know, let's create one together. And that could be part of the informational interview process too, is just, you know, asking, hey, you know, if there's any internships available, and you know, that might create a relationship where you create a whole different internship that's not even listed anywhere.
I think Merity's right, and both Jay and Merity, when they say that, you know, you need to be adaptable right now. I think it's really important to be embracing technology as much as you can right now. A lot of companies are doing, you know, virtual interviews, whereas maybe before it would have been an in-person interview, or they're going to expect you to start training online, or they're going to have you start your internship remotely, and then as things hopefully calm down, you know, move you to an in-person role. But just being adaptable in times like these is key, I think.
Steve?
Oh, Merity almost parodied what I was going to say, is that informational interviews are another great way, particularly in this uncertain job market, is that if a you know, a company or an industry has typically had lots of internships, but they're uncertain what's going to happen, that's a great way to approach it. Do an informational interview and just say, I understand you may not know if you're going to have internships, but I would be interested in. It's different. It's great for when you're a student. It's great doing informational interviews because, you know, career professionals really enjoy helping students be successful. And so it doesn't hurt to ask them if their company offers internships or if their company will be offering internships during this period. I wouldn't necessarily be asking about a job, but asking about an internship is a little safer and not quite so aggressive or assertive, and because the employers may not know. But that's, like Merity said, informational interviews, that's why I really promote them a lot, is it's a great way to find out a lot of information and get in the front, you know, meet these particular employers and career professionals who may be able to help you find a job later on.
Just a quick FYI, a lot of our students don't get internships through a formal posting. There's what we call the hidden job market, which is where a lot of students end up just approaching an employer and asking if there is some sort of need for an intern, or even for jobs. You know, what you find online in terms of postings is just a small portion of what's really out there in terms of opportunities.
I'll also just cue in, you know, not only are the internships themselves changing in modality, but also the way to find them. This year, we're going to be doing a virtual career fair through Career Services. So you need to be aware of events like that so you know where the actual internships and jobs and the hiring is going to take place. It's also a great time if you've never used it before, or if you're only moderately accustomed to going in and utilizing it, checking out the Wildcat Career Network. That is your one-stop shop for all the jobs that are being posted to CWU, as well as all of the events like this one right here that are going to be hosted and put on by Career Services. And that's my shameless plug for Career Services today.
Thank you, Jay. We needed a shameless plug. Keep checking our website too, because we do have different workshops happening. And like Jay mentioned, we have the virtual career fair. So that's the week of May 11th through 15th. If you want to check that out and see if you can connect with employers that way. Any other questions that anybody has for us that they want to type into the box or?
I don't know if it's been talked about, but I have a question about networking.
Okay.
I've just
Yeah,
been
go for
feeling
it.
like when I try to network or anything like that, it's always, I feel like it's always me asking for something, you know, or information, whether it's like internship opportunities or job opportunities, but what is there that I can offer so that I can make it like two-way, you know? So it doesn't seem like I'm always like taking.
That is a really good question. Go ahead, Meredith.
Oh, you know, people actually really like to help each other. And that's, and I think people will have a hard time with that. They feel like they're taking, but when I talk to professionals, a lot of times, you know, sometimes when I teach a class and I have some students that say, hey, I cannot find an informational interview. Can you help me? I'm like, absolutely. So I reach out to some of my network, and, you know, when I ask them later, the network says, I really enjoyed meeting with that student. I really enjoyed talking to them. And, you know, the gift that you can give is just being a good listener and realizing, you know, I have had other students say like, I don't feel comfortable asking somebody for something. And I said, well, you know, by your going out and informational interviewing and you landing a professional position, you're going to be in a spot to help others in the future. So think of it this way. It's a cycle of giving that's going to keep giving back. Like you're going to be able to give back. And even in that moment, you'll be surprised. They actually really enjoy it. In fact, part of the informational interview etiquette is just ask for 20 minutes of their time, right? And I'd say like 90% of the time when you stop at 20 minutes and say, hey, I want to be respectful of your time, I just asked for 20 minutes. The interviewer, the person being interviewed is like, oh no, I did. This is great. This is so much more fun than my meeting I have to go to, you know? And so they end up talking a lot longer and really get a lot out of it. So they enjoy it. They're really happy to help. Don't feel shy at all. And that will put you in a spot to help others in the future.
Yeah, Meredith, I think I can add to that. And I think part of it is the student that asked the question was, you know, asking for a job or an internship, and they probably missed the part about informational interviewing, which is you're not asking for a job, you're not asking for an internship. You're asking for their time to learn about how you could better prepare for that occupation. And as a student, you really have an advantage because, as you said, Meredith, career professionals love sharing the wealth of knowledge that they have with students because they want the students to be successful. So I think part of it is the way you frame the question, the asking, is that I'm really interested in what you do, and I would love to know more about how someone can, you know, plan and prepare to go into this particular profession. And so I think part of it is how they frame the question, and depending on how if they're not asking for a job, you're asking for information of how you can better prepare for this position. So I think that's the important point.
I also have something to just add quickly. One of the things that we do in career services a lot with students is we help them figure out what their skills are that would be desirable to employers, as well as what are your strengths, right? What are the things that energize you? What are you good at? Figuring out how to kind of take inventory of what it is that you do have to offer in terms of for an internship or for, you know, full-time employment. So if you would like to do some of that work, you could make an appointment with one of us career counselors, and we can help you figure out what some of your strengths and skills are that would help you be able to market yourself and show how you can add value. Because that is an important piece when you're trying to get work is how can I add value? You know, looking at the job descriptions that are out there, like what from this list of, you know, these bullet points am I able to do right now? What things do I have experience with? What soft skills do I have? What things have I learned in school? So if you want help take an inventory of those things, you know, book an appointment with one of us.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I think I do have another question.
All right, go for it.
What are some of the resources for virtual internship, as you were saying? Like, what besides Wildcat Career Network, is there some like website that are only for virtual internships or postings or?
I know that we did just have a some websites emailed around about virtual jobs or remote jobs. I'm not sure if they have specifically remote internships within that or not. But there are websites dedicated just to internships. But I just don't know about the remote piece. Some of the websites that I showed earlier actually were showing companies that were offering remote work as well. That there's also the ismyinternshipcanceled.com that shows a bunch of big companies and whether or not they are freezing, doing a hiring freeze, or whether they're hiring or they're hiring in a remote capacity, and that is for internships. So that could give you some insight as well. Does anybody else have any ideas there?
Well, I just, realized he had missed your section because it was very first. It was the first, Jessie was the first person to go, and she covered it. Yeah, she did a great job of covering it. I bookmarked some of those websites that she put up and said, wow, this is great. This actually completely puts down what companies are hiring remotely. So.
Okay, yeah, I'll definitely make sure to check it out from the recording.
Any more questions for the greater good?
See, there's a note in there from Vicky. She is helping to answer that question. Vicky's our director and she's listening in. So she just typed into the chat box for you to ask the employer if it's possible to do a remote internship. So like if you have a company in mind or you see an internship posting, because of the nature of things right now, people are doing that. Everybody's working online pretty much right now, so the possibility for that is the greatest it ever has been. So you can definitely check there. And then May 5th, we do have a workshop at 3:30 p.m. And that is all about internships if you wanted to attend that. All right, do we have any other questions?
When was the internship meeting again?
It says it's on May 5th at 3:30. And that's going to be via Zoom as well. So just if you want the link to that, you'll have to go to our website. We put the link up, the Zoom link, like the day of the event. So you'll have to go the day of and get that link off.
I think I have the website queued. I could share screen.
Okay.
Click on that. So yeah, okay. Yeah, I clicked on events, and it goes here, Career Services online workshop and events. And you can see we have the recording and the past workshops that you can hit. About 24 hours in advance, the link here for Zoom was posted. So you can go in there and get the link right before the events, and you can mark your calendar for the future ones, like everything need to know about internships and the CWU Virtual Career Fair. Here's the dates to be able to get them on your calendar.
All right, wonderful. Thanks, Meredith. All right, anybody else have anything on their minds before we wrap up? All right, well, it doesn't look like—
I just have one question, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure if I missed that, but will you also able to provide the links of those companies who hire remotely, or will you send it through the recorded section? Can I find that website or list of those companies or link?
Yeah, we're going to post this to YouTube, and then we're going to link all of the links that we used today. At the beginning of the workshop, I'm not sure if you were—
Yep, yeah, I was there.
You were here, okay.
I took the notes, but I wasn't sure if you covered the list of companies who hire remotely. Sorry.
Yeah, so we do have a few other, like I mentioned before, a colleague of ours emailed us a couple other links that we didn't talk about today that talk about remote jobs, and we can link that as well. Even though we didn't cover that today, we can make sure that you get that. I'll ask him about those links, okay?
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. All right, so it's 11 o'clock. We plan to end this at 11, so we're going to go ahead and end it here. But if you want to, ask us any more questions, make an appointment. You know how to book online, and like we all mentioned before, we are here for you. So please utilize us. We are part of the tuition that you pay here at Central. So, and we love helping students. All right, you guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for joining us.